Welcome aboard the Ear to There podcast, the podcast that'll help you vacation like a pro in any Disney destination. For those of you standing, please sit down and hold on throughout our journey and get ready to learn how to have the time of your life. And now, here's your host, Phil Gramlich.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Ear to There podcast. I'm your host, Phil Gramlich. I'm also the owner and operator of Ear to There Travel, which is a Disney specialized travel agency. It's my job to take away the stress, the anxiety, and the time that it takes to plan a Disney trip so you can focus on the fun things like having a great time with your family and friends and enjoying the magic. You can find this podcast, my blog, or request a free, no-obligation quote over at eartotheretravel.com. This is episode 32 for the week of September 5th, 2016. Now grab a drink, grab a snack, and as a famous mouse once said, on with the show. When this episode is first available for download, it will be early September of 2016. So while we're not quite 12 days away from Christmas, now, whenever you are listening to this episode, is the perfect time to start thinking about spending Christmas time in Walt Disney World. And because there's so much to do in Walt Disney World over Christmas and over the holidays, this topic is going to have to be broken up into 2 different episodes. So this is part 1 of the top reasons you should go to Walt Disney World at Christmas. Here to help me talk all about the best reasons to visit the most magical place on earth during the most magical time of the year is a man who is no stranger to the show. He loves everything about Christmas, especially the cookies. As a matter of fact, he's been known to steal Santa's cookies before his kids even get the chance to put them out on Christmas Eve. Johnny Shortsleeve, welcome back to the show.
Man, we need to have like a little convo after we're done here. Where are you getting, I'm embarrassed. That's actually true. Like, that sounds like a joke that you just wrote. I actually got pinching cookies.
See, I told you before, I have my inside sources on with the,
man,
the Shortsleeve household. But yeah,
that's a black mark on my soul right there.
I usually like to just write something fun and write some kind of fun joke, but to be honest with you, I like your reactions. So that's why I had to get my inside source again.
And it's one of those things where I self-admit I don't have a great memory, and I repressed that one. And then when you said it, I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. Oh, wait a second. That actually happened. Oh, man.
Now it's like,
got to go out and do some good deeds now to erase all that.
Remember that scene in Wedding Crashers when who was it? Vince Vaughn's like, oh, we have a whole new he said he's talking to his psychiatrist, and he's like, we have a whole new thing of problems to talk about. We can forget about Mom for a while. That's what you just reminded me of. I don't know why.
It's funny because it's in my DNA. I was at a family member's house a couple years ago, and I was talking to. He's not a direct family member, like an in-law kind of deal. We're just really into this really interesting conversation, and we're both eating, and I wasn't really paying close attention. But then while we're talking, me and this guy, I'm not going to say his name in case he listens. But if he hears the story, he's going to know it's him. So while we're talking, I hear somebody screaming like murder screaming in the background in another room. I'm like, oh, something bad happened. So whatever, we're eating, we're still having fun, and kind of let it go. And then all of a sudden, I see I got to be careful. I see my aunt walking out with a birthday cake with candles on it. It's lit, and they're all singing happy birthday. And I look at the cake and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's this massive wedge taken out of the birthday cake. I was like, that's terrible. And I was so into the conversation. I look over at his plate. He was the one. He took a piece of the birthday cake before it said on the cake, happy birthday.
Did he get there late? Did he not know that they didn't sing yet?
He got there late, man. He got there late. That's a metaphor for that dude. He's a super guy. I love him. He's super sweet. Funny, but he didn't even lose a beat, even when he realized what happened. Like, oh, okay. Well, yeah, I wrecked the birthday cake. Sorry. So again, what I was thinking. He just. So yeah, at least that's where it comes from, unfortunately.
That's funny, man. Yeah. So I promise I will write some material and for your intros in the future. But
I don't think you need to write any material. You just go to your mole, whoever's dishing you all this other stuff, and it's all real.
The baby's almost one. He's talking and all now. He's the one slipping me the emails, man.
I tell you what, man, those kids these days.
All right, man. Well, this is really an important topic for me because I wanted to make sure we got this out there. And you brought it up to me a few weeks ago, and I thought it was a great idea because I like that we get these topics out up on the site well before we're going to get this Christmas one up well before Christmas actually happens, so people can you have the chance to hear it, and you still have the chance to go and experience some of this stuff, even if you're not going to plan a trip this year. You can plan it for next year because you could book. Right now, you can book your trip for Christmas 2018 if you wanted to. You could plan get your room only reservation and get that all set up. So, yeah, I like this idea. I like that we can do this and give people a reason to kind of look forward to the holidays in the parks. And so, yeah, this is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, man, and it kind of is funny because the fall decorations are just now getting put up. Today. Yeah, but it's I think it's an important conversation because if you are somebody who wants to come for the holidays here in a few months, you got to get ready now because surprisingly for some people they may realize that hey, these hotels actually do book up for the holidays, yeah, so you gotta hop to it. And I am totally stoked about this conversation because I am one of these people who loves Christmas, and not for the presents and all that kind of stuff. I love the Christmas spirit. I listen to Christmas music all year long. I'm not exaggerating. Here's another. I'm going to throw this so you can't get it. Every night I need to fall asleep to music. I fall asleep to Christmas music. And here's the thing. I oftentimes will listen to Christmas music when I drive. And you know what happens is I realize that when I switched to Christmas music from Pantera and Metallica and heavy duty crazy, I no longer had road rage issues. Like, it's hard to be angry when you're listening to Christmas music.
Yeah, when you're driving the family trucks that are around listening to White Christmas. You're not very upset.
Yeah, I mean, you're not yelling at each other. It's very serene in the car. Everyone's relaxed. But then as soon as you flip it back over to the heavy metal. Game off, man. It's crazy in that car. Everyone's slam dancing.
Slam dancing. All right, so, dude, I love you. I love you. I like you.
I love you too, man.
I love you, but that's kind of a weird thing to say in the middle of a podcast. I like you.
It's a Freudian slip.
I like you. Love Christmas music, and that's actually going to be that's a perfect segue because that's my first one on the list. I was going to let you go first, but it was too good of a segue. So, the Christmas music in the parks is my first choice, especially Magic Kingdom, because all year long you go to Disney, you go to Walt Disney World, you walk through the turnstiles, or there's no turnstiles anymore. I know. You walk through what do you call them now? The sensors. The Magic Band styles, whatever they are.
I don't know what the official name is. That's a good, that's a great question. What the official Disney name is for this little
turnstiles every time. It's ingrained in my brain. Anyway, so
it's like we're recording our on a digital thing. We might say hey we're taping this. There's no tape.
I say it all the time. I say with my kids with DVR, they look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, no, I'm taping Sophia the First for you.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a whole conversation I had with my daughter the other day about this is such off in a tangent like I always do. But I was telling her that we didn't have cell phones when I was a kid. And she just was like, well, how did you talk to people?
What?
And I was like, no, we had phones on the wall with like a cord. And she was blown away. And I tried to explain to her that when you left the house, no one knew where you were. Like, you were just gone. You were out there. And she just couldn't. Anyway.
So she just picture you, like, riding on a buffalo across the plains.
Right? Like, she's 5. I wonder what she thinks when I say that. Like, like, it's the old-timey, like, there's a kid on a street corner selling me a newspaper. Like I don't know, like extra, extra. Read all about it, Mister. Come here. I don't know. But anyways, back to Christmas music in Magic Kingdom. You're so used to walking in and hearing like the turn of the century, like ragtime kind of music, and as you walk through the park, there's a transition. You walk through into Adventureland and you get the drum beats, or you walk through Tomorrowland and you get like that futuristic sound. But, over Christmas, at Christmas time, it's when you get onto Main Street, it's that Christmas music. And I, just like you, I love Christmas music, man. I figure after Halloween, that's when I'd start listening to it. I wait till after Halloween, and then like a week after Christmas, I'm done. Like after New Year's, I stop. But for those few months, it's all I listen to when I'm in the car, when I'm home, all the time. So having it in the parks, everywhere you go, just completely changes the experience of Walt Disney World for me. It's such a, like, I don't know. And just hearing, it's weird hearing like contemporary Christmas music when you're walking down Main Street USA. But to me, like, you're walking down the street, you hear White Christmas or something, and then you hear the horse-drawn, trolley coming up behind you, and it kind of clicks. It's like, it feels even more like that old school, old town Main Street USA. I don't know. It adds to like the atmosphere of that to me. I just love it, man. I love the music. I love that it's there. I love that it's everywhere you go in the parks. For me, you can't beat it.
I don't know if you remember or not, but the last time we talked on one of your podcasts, I stole your first one. Yes. You stole my first one just now. Like, I'm not exaggerating.
Look, like that. You have like 25.
Well, I thought, like, I was strategizing. It's like, there's no way he's going to say this one. And I love it. It's going to be the first one. Go right out the gate. Boom. This is, and you said, like, are you kidding me? That's my first one on my list. No, don't apologize, because it's a great point to be bringing up, because I'm of the belief that the background music around the parks is a huge part to the storytelling and the experience. Because, like you said, when you walk down Main Street USA in the Magic Kingdom, you have that ragtime kind of music that you hear in the background. It really helps to help you to understand where you're at, where they want you to feel like you're at. And then Tomorrowland, same thing. Adventureland, same thing. The music transitions really well. But when they change the background music to have the Christmas overlays, I think it's cool. It works. I don't know why it works. I'm not somebody who can kind of understand the musical theory and how that all plays into it. But it does work, and it's really neat. And it's one of those things where I think one of the reasons why I like Christmas time is just kind of sitting and hanging around the parks and just relaxing and not trying to rush from attraction to attraction, but just to sit there and kind of savor the experience of being there. And part of that is because of the music. Yeah,
I mean, you really the one thing, what I really like is getting there early in December, so the crowds are a little less. But you're right, because a lot of times if you're there near Christmas, you can't like rush from thing to thing. You kind of are forced to kind of sit back and relax and listen to the music a little bit. But you're right. I love that part of it. I love just sitting around, like getting a drink or a snack and sitting at Casey's Corner or sitting on a bench somewhere along Main Street or at the Hub and just listening to the music, people watching. Yeah, I agree. It's such a cool thing.
And to be fair to anyone who's listening who's never experienced the Walt Disney World during the holidays, when we're talking about Christmas music, it's not like you're going to walk down the middle of Main Street and you hear something like, I don't know, like Wham's Last Christmas, right. Like, it's not that kind of, I mean, it's themed, it still kind of works with the theming, and they kind of try to not make it too in your face, but it's just enough for you to realize what's going on. It's something a little different. So I'm hoping that somebody who's listening to this, who's never experienced that, doesn't go, oh, great, I'm going to walk down through Adventureland and that's going to be, Run DMC, Christmas in Hollis.
Oh, that would be good, though.
Ooh, actually, I was saying, saying that as a joke, but
kind of would fit.
Hey, you know what? That might work.
Let's go with I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas. You're not going to hear that one on.
Yeah. Yeah. Disney Springs, maybe. Disney Springs.
That's a terrible Christmas song. Anyway. Like, I don't care. Anyway, I'm not even going to talk about that. All right, you're up for your first one.
So my next one, or I should say my first one, since my real first one was stolen, my first one now is going to be the Christmas decorations at the resort hotels.
Walt you're stealing my first one, or my second one.
There we go. All right, so a little getting back into the game now. Yeah, it's like this true strategy here. Now, what's interesting is backstage they have this massive warehouse where all the Christmas stuff is stored, and then I think there's a bunch of other warehouses in the fringe that have some other things too. It's just they have a ton of stuff, a ton of decorations that they bring out for the holidays. And what I like is if you go to the resort hotels, many of them will have Christmas decorations that are kind of unique to that property and the theming of that property. So, like for example, my personal favorite in the holiday season during Christmas is the Wilderness Lodge. The theming of that particular resort is a lodge in like Pacific Northwest. So they have their holiday decorations kind of themed that way, and so the Disney's Polynesian Resort has, or Village Resort, whatever the new full name is. It's like 17 words mashed in there now with all bungalows and this and that. They have some more tropical themed, a little tropical theme to some of the Christmas decorations they do there. The Grand Floridian has this insane Victorian gingerbread house that's like, I don't know, 2 or 3 stories tall. It's just massive. But it's kind of themed to that Victorian era theme that they have at the resort. So it's something that actually becomes an attraction in and of itself, where you can say, I just want to go resort hopping and see what they have here. If I remember correctly, many of the resorts will have a kind of like they do at Halloween, where they'll have a little special contest for the cast members. In Halloween, they'll do pumpkin carving. In Easter, they do Easter egg decorations. They do one in Christmas time with gingerbread houses.
Yeah, they do.
So there's a lot to see there just to kind of meander around and explore. And, this is something that would be great if you're somebody who has maybe a tradition of going to Walt Disney World in the summertime, let's say. And you say, you know what, I've heard a lot about it, want to see it. Let's go during Christmas time. And you realize, you know what, I maybe don't want to do the lines, 2 hours for Space Mountain. I want to do something different. That's a really neat experience to just walk around, check out the resorts, and really enjoy the decorations. And again, a lot of them will have the music there too, slightly different or slightly themed to that particular resort, but have a Christmas kind of overlay to it. So it is a really neat thing to just kind of walk around and see what they've done at the resort hotels.
Yeah, like I said, this was on my list too, and you hit on most of the things that I wanted to talk about. But you're right; they do. It does change from resort to resort, and the decorations are really well themed to which the certain resort that it is. I can remember staying at Port Orleans French Quarter, and the trees are even like decked out with like New Orleans style, jazz instruments on the as ornaments for the trees and stuff like that.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
Really neat little things. The Christmas tree in Wilderness Lodge, you're right, is awesome. It's massive. We talked about that a few weeks ago because I was talking about, or a few episodes ago, I was talking about how nervous I was sitting at the top, and you were talking about how great the view is from the club level looking down on that tree.
Yeah,
and there's something else about that lobby too, because I think you're right, because it's so rustic. It has that. Like that Pacific Northwest Lodge feel. When you go in there, even any time of year, you can kind of get that Christmas vibe anyway. And then when it's decorated and you have the fireplace, that's always there, but the fireplace with the big rocking chairs and the Christmas tree and the music and the garland, and yeah, man, I love that place at Christmas. And you mentioned the gingerbread house, the Grand Floridian, which is outrageous. I feel like the deluxe resorts really kind of take the decoratings up to like the next level.
Yeah.
Like they have. God, I'm sorry.
No, and you're right. And don't quote me on this because I definitely seem to recall going to like All Star. Was it Art of Animation or All Star? One of those I went to last year, and which is a value resort, and they had some really nice decorations there too. So it's not like to say you have to go to see all of those. Or if your budget may not permit you to do a week at the Wilderness Lodge, you're still going to get an experience at a moderate resort, even a value resort. But if that's the case, it's certainly worth your time to go explore around and check them out.
Yeah, and it's like I always talk about the monorail crawl, like jumping on the monorail, riding the resort monorail from resort to resort, grabbing a drink, grabbing a snack. At Christmas, they will have some specialty drinks at some of the lounges there. So that actually takes it up, a whole other level. Just get on a monorail. And then you get to ride, past the Magic Kingdom and see that lit up for Christmas. Mm-hmm. That'd be a really cool way to do it. But yeah, like you were saying, like I love the, like I said, I'm a sucker for Christmas trees, right? So there's a tree outside at Contemporary that it's really cool when you're pulling up and it's there. And then the huge Mickey wreath that's on the glass inside the Contemporary is really, really cool too. Yeah. So yeah, they pull out all the stops with the Christmas decorations at the resorts. It's very, very neat. So yeah, it's definitely worth it to take that monorail trip around, or to just, if you have a rental car, or even if you don't, you take the buses and check out different resorts. It's definitely worth your time.
And, an interesting idea is, if this is something where you say it's something I want to do, maybe it might not be in the budget yet. Well, one of the things you can do is to say, look, you might shave a few bucks off of the trip cost by saying, I'm not going to get the tickets for every single day we're there. Right. And just say, we'll spend, a day to just go around and check out the resort hotels, and then maybe another day just to explore Disney Springs. And that way, because I think it really is an amazing experience this time of year in the holidays. So, if you are somebody who's done it before and all the rides and this and that, it's a totally different experience just to enjoy things like that. Just go around and check the hotels out and hang out.
Yeah, man, I completely agree. To me, again, I've stayed in I've stayed in every resort. Not every level and every room in every resort, of course, but I've stayed. And yeah, they all have their own little things. They all have their own decorations. Really, really cool and worth it to check them out. All right, so because we've each stolen one from each other, I was going to go next. I don't have it on my list. I don't want to steal it from you, though, if it's on your list.
That's okay, man. I'll find another one to steal from yours.
All right. So since this is just one I want to talk about off the top of my head, because we're already kind of in that vein already. It's the decorations at the parks. Is that on your list?
It wasn't, because I thought he's going to go for that one first. And I think, what? I steered clear from it.
That's really funny, because I that's why I steered clear from it as well. I was like, this is definitely going to have that on the top of this list. All right, so let's talk about it. So we could kind of this one do it kind of a little bit together, because I don't have anything written down or prepared. But I know, let's just say, I know what I like. Daddy knows what he likes. Okay? off the top of my head, I know I love Magic Kingdom decorated for Christmas. I also love it in the fall. I think I said in the fall podcast that we did that I like the fall decorations a little more than the Christmas ones, and that's completely true. I wasn't lying about that. I love the fall decorations at Magic Kingdom, but Christmas they're not a very, very distant second by any means. The reason I think why Christmas loses points for me now is the garland doesn't go from building across Main Street from building to building. I love that look. I miss it. Mm-hmm. I get it, because Festival of Fantasy Parade has very, very high floats. Yeah, and the dragon that can light the garland on fire.
Blow it up and set the whole park on fire.
Right, so I get why it's not there. But I do miss that. But I mean, the way the place is decorated, where the Magic Kingdom especially is decorated, Main Street, I mean, without a doubt, when you go there, with the tree in Town Square is outrageous. It's enormous. The way they light up the castle, I mean, Cinderella Castle with the icicle lights is one of the coolest things you'll ever see.
Yeah.
And it's another thing that during the day you almost don't notice it. It's really strange that you can't see like I have pictures from going there at Christmas time and us standing in front of Main Street with the castle behind us, and there's, I don't know how many, is it thousands or millions of lights that are strung up on the castle. And during the day, they do a great job of however they do it, where you don't really notice them in the pictures, and then as soon as it's dark and they light that castle up, it's crazy. You can see that from anywhere. It's very, very cool. And I hate to be the one footing the electric bill for Disney around Christmas. That's got to cost them a nice, a pretty penny there. But I just love it. I love, like, even little things, like they put garland on the horse-drawn trolley that rides up and down the street. Like that, who would think to do that? But they do, and it just adds to the atmosphere all that much. I think and for some reason I'm just kind of focused on Magic Kingdom right now because that's the one that pops into my head. But of course the other parks are decorated for Christmas as well. Now I'm thinking of Hollywood Boulevard, walking down there at night with the decorations, with the the light fixtures all lit up with Christmas balls and garland, and they have certain characters wear different costumes, and yeah, it's just very, very cool to be there for Christmas in the resorts.
Well, that's a really good point, which you just touched on right there in terms about the lights and enjoying it in the evening hours, because obviously with the sun setting very early at that time of year, you're getting a good chunk of the day where you are seeing all the lights lit up, and it is really nice in the daytime as well. Don't get me wrong, but when everything is lit up, it's stunning to see what they've done. And like the castle, you brought up a really good point. When they do the castle lighting show, that's something that everybody, in my opinion, should try to carve out of their schedule to watch that happen. Because when you see it lit up, like if you come around the corner down Main Street and you see that it's lit up, it'll blow you away. It's pretty incredible. But to see it actually go through the process of lighting up, that's something like totally next level. So it's definitely worth trying to see if you can make sure you can be a part of that. So I think I'm glad you brought it up, because I'm glad we just didn't sit here and kind of like out strategize each other, say, oh no, he's going to say it. No, he's going to say it. But the parks are beautiful. They do some amazing stuff, and kind of like with the resort hotels, themed appropriately to each park and each section within the park. So I think that was definitely a good poll. I'm glad you did it. Yeah,
I mean, and again, it's off the top of my head, so I didn't have a whole lot prepared, but I do know, like, we've been there around Christmas, I want to say the last 5 years straight, because we do the races. Well, I did the Disney races, which I'll probably touch on later, just about that. But everything about those parks, the way they're lit up, and you don't even. I mean, I don't think about it. I just walk in, and it's just the way every little thing, like from the Mickey and the flowers in the front of the park to every like signpost and everything, every storefront, it's completely decorated, and it's awesome.
And for somebody who's listening right now and hearing us gush over all these decorations, they might say, oh, so we got kind of a short window of time to do this, maybe, it might be just a few weeks. Actually, it's probably a little more than some people may think. Yeah. So, after Halloween is over, that's when they start getting pretty crazy in terms of putting everything up. It's not, with the fall stuff, they can, I think, don't quote me on this, I think they can do the fall stuff overnight.
Yeah.
But the Christmas stuff takes a few days or maybe a week or so, specifically with the Magic Kingdom, because there's so much there. Yeah. So, and even actually some of the lights get strung pretty early for the castle, because that takes a while. But so if you're somebody who says, you know what, man, my December is just jacked on my calendar, there's no way I can get down there this year, you can see it in November. As well. So it's a pretty wide band of time that you can go there. And, obviously if you're going there the week of Christmas or between Christmas and New Year's, that's super, super busy. But if you go earlier in December, between Thanksgiving and Christmas, not as bad. Before Thanksgiving, not as bad. But you still get to see all the holiday decorations then.
Yeah, you're right. And now the way they stretch food and wine, if you go in early November, you can make a double dip. You get a little bit of food and wine festival, and you get the decorations as well. So that's kind of a cool little bonus they have now.
Definitely.
So all right, man. So you're up for your next one.
Yeah. So my second one, I was holding hope that you didn't bring this one because I love this one. I'm a huge fan of the Jungle Cruise, but in the holidays it becomes the Jingle Cruise.
And my next one on my list.
Oh man, this is a vicious podcast,
dude. It is.
And it's a good thing we're doing this remotely, man. Because if we were like in the same room, a fist fight might break out. I don't know.
Like it's a fantasy football draft at this point.
Yeah, it kind of is that way.
I'm sitting at Hooters waiting for my wings. Sorry, go ahead.
So what happens is the storyline changes a little bit for the Jungle Cruise, and I'm not an expert in terms of saying I know exactly how they pitch the story, but it's essentially the skippers are a little homesick and they are feeling the holiday spirit, and they try to decorate the boats and all of the areas in which their tour is covering with some holiday decorations. So the spiel, or the tour that you get normally with the Jungle Cruise, changes slightly to have some jokes that are more holiday appropriate, and like they change the names of the boats, and so you'll see a lot of little neat things that they added inside the attraction to make it holiday themed, which I was trying to rack my brain. I know Disneyland does this, like with It's a Small World and with Haunted Mansion, but I don't think there's any other Walt Disney World attractions that do that, where they try to basically transform it to have a holiday overlay. And it's rather recent. If I want to say it was like 2012 or 2013, maybe somewhere in that time frame when it was the first time they did that. So it's only been a few years that they've been converting the Jungle Cruise to the Jingle Cruise. And it's one of those things where that's a ride I don't mind going on standby for, because there's a lot of things going on in the queue that you can kind of soak in terms of visually, and then also there's a little, radio spiel that you hear with announcements and music that changes a little bit. So that's always a must do. I do that as many times as I can during the holiday season. So I hope if someone's listening to this who hasn't done that yet, hasn't experienced it yet, will definitely put that on their must do list the next time they plan a holiday trip to Walt Disney World.
Yeah, the reason this was on my list is I like it just as much as you do, and I love the like you were saying, the names of the boats are different. Like I think the Amazon Annie becomes like the Eggnog Annie, like that, and then they have my favorite. I had a favorite joke that I heard on there last time. The skipper and the skippers are. I think it really I think we've talked about this before, but it completely depends on your skipper, like what kind of experience you get. Mm-hmm. If you have one that's going through the motions and, Jungle Cruise is a job for them, it'll still be a good attraction, but it may not be, a highlight. But if you have one that embraces the corniness of it, embraces the history and the nostalgia, and really gets into the character and the jokes, it'll make your entire day. It really will. The one joke I heard last time was, and it was really, really funny. He said, and it was a guy, I forget his name, I wish I remembered it, but his delivery was so dry, which makes it way better. And he said, this river is tough to navigate because of the Yuletide. And I was like, that's phenomenal. That's a great joke.
Well, let me say something real quick, because somebody who goes on the Jungle Cruise a lot, and, I don't know, maybe once a month or so I'll ride it. Again, I'm super grateful. I hope I don't sound like I'm bragging there. I'm super grateful that I am so close and I can do that. And I don't take that for granted in any way, shape, or form. But what I've noticed is that lately, like the last year or so, the Jungle Cruise skippers have routinely been killing it. Like really, really into it, really good delivery on the jokes. And even a bunch of times I've heard them kind of, I don't want to say going off script, but kind of inserting their own little jokes in there. So I'm hearing things I've never heard before. and I'm thinking, wow, they're really kicking their game up. So it's like, it's something that, like, if I was somebody who was coming there for a week's vacation, I wouldn't say it's a one and done. I would say, let's go. Maybe if we have a little extra time, let's ride it again. And you might see you'll have a totally different skipper, totally different experience. So it's getting really good now.
Yeah, I agree, man. And there's one thing that I always encourage people to do, and it's mostly for attractions like that, where if the host is very instrumental in the production of and in the experience of the attraction, I always think you should, if you have the time and if you feel like it's okay, if you feel up to it, afterwards ask for a manager, seriously, and tell the manager the cast member's name and tell them just how much you enjoyed it. It really means a lot. It goes a long way to make that cast member, to give him some recognition, give him or her a little bit of recognition, and it helps with their standing with the company. And they get a little certificate, nothing big, but it's nice to be recognized. I remember working hourly at Walt Disney World, and I was on attractions, and that happened to me a couple of times where I would have my manager come up to me and say, "Hey, had a guest stop me, said you did a great job. I just want to let you know." It means a lot as a cast member, it really does, because it's not an extremely high-paying job. A lot of people do it because they really love it, and they love being cast members, they love the company, so it's really nice to get that recognition once in a while. So, yeah, I just wanted to put that out there.
You know what I do is, definitely grab the manager, or you can even go to like guest relations, guest services. Usually near the entrance of the park. What I do, because I tend to be lazy with some things in life. And one of the things is with that, I didn't have the patience because the line was always long. And unfortunately, I'd be in the line with people who wanted to complain and get something for free, which I don't dig that. So instead, I figured out there's an email address. Right. It's just guest.services at disneyworld.com. So I have it bookmarked in my phone, and when I have a really awesome experience with a cast member, I just grab my phone and shoot a quick email to that email address and say, "Hey, just got done interacting with Bill over in Tomorrowland. He was so cool to me and my kids. He did X, Y, and Z. Really, really nice guy, and just wanted to say thanks for all that he did, and let you know he's a super awesome guy." Whatever you want to say in there. But that does the same thing, and you can do it if you dictate your email like I do, because I have fat fingers and I'm always missing the keys and getting frustrated. I can shoot that out in 20 seconds, and it does, I think, it's a nice gesture for those folks to let them know, hey, it's a tough job, but we appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah, man. The hourly cast members, the people who are on the front lines and deal with front lines, like it's a war, I know, but they are the frontline cast members, and they're the ones that deal with, a lot of the guests' issues and complaints. And you see, as a former hourly cast member, I know just, firsthand how rewarding the job can be, and also how challenging it can be. You deal with some frustrated people, and it's usually, due to no fault of their own. Something happens in the park or something that, and you, as the first person that encounters them, these hourly cast members have to handle it. So it's nice, because it can get frustrating, just like any job. And, it's nice to get recognized that way sometimes. So anyway, all right. So now I have to go to, now I'm scrambling because I'm like, oh man, I don't have a whole lot more left. So here's what I'm going to go with, because I kind of alluded to it earlier. And it's one that isn't necessarily at Christmas, but it's right the first or second week after. And it's Walt Disney World Marathon weekend. The reason I include this in the Christmas episode is because it's very much a part of that. It's right after the holidays are over. The decorations are always, since I've been doing it, still up in the parks when you go. The music's still playing. I did the Dopey Challenge last year, which is the 4 races. The year before, I was supposed to do the Dopey Challenge, but I had the flu and I missed every race. The year before that, I did the Goofy Challenge, which is the 2 races. So anyway, On the day of the marathon and the day of the half marathon, you get to run down Main Street, USA. We'll run throughout all of Magic Kingdom pretty much, but with the Christmas lights on, with the whole thing lit up, you run down Main Street, you run through a little part of Tomorrowland, through Adventureland, and then, I'm sorry, through Tomorrowland, then through Fantasyland, and then you get to run through Cinderella Castle, and then off to Liberty Square and some other lands and stuff like that. But, running down Main Street when it's all lit up, usually I get there just as the sun's coming up, so it's still lit up, it's still fairly dark. I get to see all of Magic Kingdom. I mean, the fans, I was going to say, the crowd, the people that are cheering you on, and there's hundreds and thousands of people that are lining Main Street cheering for runners, people they know, people they don't know. And that feeling you get when you run through Cinderella Castle when it's all lit up, and man, it's nothing short of like, I want to say exhilarating. I don't know if that's the right word, but it seems like it is. It's an amazing feeling. I love it. It's such a high. I do it. Now, I can't imagine taking a trip and, around that time of year and not doing it for marathon weekend because I just love it so much. And I love everything. I love running. I love everything Run Disney, but running through Magic Kingdom with the Christmas lights on and with the decorations up, it's amazing. It's one of the most surreal and literally life-changing experiences I've ever had. And I feel that way every time I do it. So, and I know that the last time I did it, I was looking forward to seeing you later in the course. Right, I think you were right outside Epcot, you were right outside World Showcase, I think.
Yeah.
At your the Johnny Short Sleeve High Five Station.
The High Five Station. That was a good time.
Yeah, and I saw you the day before that at the marathon. I'm sorry, for the half marathon. You were right outside the entrance to Epcot, I believe. You and the family, and that's a very cool thing too. Seeing people along the way to kind of give you a pick me up at the end, because when you're on mile 12 or you're on mile, of a half marathon or mile 23, 24 of a full marathon, it's always nice to have those, run into those people so that and that can, say, hey, listen, you don't look horrible. You don't look like you're going to die right now, even though you do.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you two things, man. The number one, this is going to probably be super shocking. I did not have that on my list. Right. I'm not a runner. I think the last time I ran, it was to chase the ice cream man down when he was blowing past my house.
Dude, priorities.
Yeah, it's not like what you got to do.
It's not like I wouldn't chase him.
Yeah, I mean, if I didn't have my spike strip out in front of the house, I mean, if that was working, I've been okay. But I had to actually hoof it. But to be serious though, the High Five Station was awesome, man, and we try to do that every time that there's a marathon. And what's interesting is, so I'll put up my little sign for the High Five Station and just dish out high fives to the runners. And the last couple that I did was it just became like this thing. People saw it and they're like, hey, I'll come over and do that with you. And just had this group of people just dishing out high fives. And you see the look on the runner's face when they get a high five from a bunch of strangers. Like, it really jazzes them up. And that's cool, man, because I see people having fun. Like, I'm honestly, there's just no way you'll ever catch me doing that. I am in no shape to be running around and pretending that I can do that. But I see people who this is something that brings them a lot of joy, and that's cool. And to be able to run in a place like Walt Disney World and to kind of have that as your backdrop. Like if you told me, hey man, you have to run a marathon, like it was like a life or death thing, you have to do it or else, that's the place I would want to do it. It's such a beautiful place to do it.
Let me ask you, this is really going to put you on the spot, and we can edit this out later if you don't want it to be on the podcast, but I'm going to put this out. It's not a challenge. It's a question. If, say, 2018 marathon weekend were to come around, that's a year plus from now, year and 4 months from now, I'm going to be there. I know I'll be running in Goofy or Dopey. Would you maybe, just maybe, be up for a 5K or a 10K?
I would walk a 5K.
Yeah, hey, that counts. That's all I'm looking for.
Yeah, I mean, I probably still get swept, but it's yeah. I definitely, because I know some people who do walk the 5Ks there, and every time I hear them do it, like, I should have done that. It sounds fun, and it's nice. I would never want to do it for like a competitive thing. I'm not really a super competitive kind of guy. I would do it more just for hanging out and camaraderie and having some fun. And that's the thing I think is really interesting. So if you're somebody who is like me, who just really is not into running anymore, like, yeah, I don't know if I ever really was into running now that I think about it, but you might hear about all these events that with the Run Disney program and go, that's just not me. But it's interesting because I have seen a whole bunch of people who use that as a means to get together with friends and say, if you've got a group of friends who are just scattered across the country or the world, say, hey, we want to get together. That's a neat way to do it. And you say, look, we're going to bond together and maybe we'll walk the 5K together. And just to say that you've done that is a really neat accomplishment. Or if you want to try to run it or do the 10K or one of the longer races, again, that's a cool thing to do with friends. I know a lot of people who do that, who will descend upon Walt Disney World to meet up with friends once a year just to do the races.
Yeah, I mean, I've met a lot of people through it. I ended up meeting some people a few years ago at the start of the half marathon, and I ended up actually joining a running group with them because of it, because I was there by myself and we were talking, and it's like Kramer from Seinfeld. Like, we got to talking. We got to talking, and yeah, we this is my first race, and I was nervous, and it's a little scary thing to be running a half marathon. And since I've run, a bunch of halves and fulls, but it really is. It's a way to hang out. It's a way to kind of see a park like they do it through Epcot, the 5K. It's a way to see Epcot that you usually wouldn't see it. Like, in a way you wouldn't see it, I'm sorry. But when I did the Star Wars half last year, the Dark Side, it's completely, off in another world, but you run through Epcot, and instead of having Epcot music playing, it's dark, and it's all Star Wars music that they're playing while you're running through the countries of World Showcase. It's really, really cool and surreal. But yeah, it is. I do think this fits in with this podcast with this episode, because for me, it's very tied into the holidays, because I do, my holidays start at Halloween and they don't end until after marathon weekend. And I think that's as good a spot to stop as any. That's going to do it for the first part of the top reasons to go to Walt Disney World during Christmas time. Thank you so much to my guest, Johnny Shortsleeve, and please remember to check out next week's episode of the podcast, which will be part 2 of this show. As you can tell from listening to this one, both Johnny and I are huge Christmas fans, so we couldn't just contain all this in one episode. As always, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. It's so greatly appreciated. And I really hope you enjoyed the show. And if you did, like I always say, an iTunes rating or an iTunes review is always good. But what I'd really like for you to do is just tell someone about it. Tell your uncle, tell your aunt, tell your cousin. Tell that one person in your life that loves Christmas more than anything that this episode is out there and that the other episodes are out there. I keep hearing from people each and every week about how much they enjoy the show. That means the world to me. Thank you so much. And thank you in advance for spreading the word. And just remember, there will be a new episode of the Ear to There podcast each and every Monday morning. And always look out for that Word of the Week podcast. That's coming to you each and every Wednesday morning. And thank you once again for putting up with my voice, which seems to be in and out every couple of seconds here. It's been a rough couple of weeks for me on the podcast recording front. But I didn't want to miss a show. I never want to miss an episode, so I'm happy I did it and got through it. So again, thank you so much for listening. Until next week, have a great week. Bye-bye.